From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to kick off your week with tonight's show, including Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. If you want to take a listen to our archives, we got them free for you at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault. Grab a great book from We Read Tonight. Join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by donating to Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Alex Mistretta is one of the few full-time professional investigators of the paranormal and supernatural. He is the former MUFON Los Angeles Director of Investigations, founder of Phenomena Research, co-founder of the UFO and Paranormal Research Society of Los Angeles, and a former member of Big Cats in Britain. Following his studies in anthropology and psychology at the University of Illinois, Chicago, Alex devoted his life to researching the paranormal, UFOs, hidden history, and cryptozoology. Described as a part Mulder, part Indiana Jones, Alex has been featured on several television shows, including UFO Files and Legend Hunters. Then at the bottom of hour number 3, I will bring you the SOR Newswire, brought to you by Paranoia Magazine. Alex, it's been a couple of years since we had you on Spaced Out Radio, but I'm very glad to get you back on now. How you been, my friend?
I've been great, man. Yeah, it's been a little while. I'm really happy to be back, though.
Yeah, we're really glad to have you here as well. How have you been keeping in the world of the strange and weird?
A little bit of everything as usual. You know, I'm still a little bit involved in UFO field, less so these days. It's a little too crazy for me. I've been doing a little paranormal, not as much. Mostly been doing a lot of cryptozoology type things of late, and that's pretty much it. You know, I'm kind of doing my own little video thing that I'm going to have on YouTube. My own little interview with myself type of deal, and that's kind of what I've been working on.
Yeah, you know what, dude? I cannot wait. I am going at about 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. My buddy Mike and I, we're heading up into the wilderness. We're going to see if we can find some tracks in the snow. Now, I pray those tracks are not grizzly bear related for some grizzly who decided to wake up early from hibernation.
Yeah,
I cannot wait to get back out there.
Yeah, this time of year you should be good, though. Grizzly, you should have another month or so before they start waking up. But, you know, like, it's not true hibernation for bears, so they do wake up occasionally to move around a little bit. They're just a little bit sluggish, but, yeah, it's always a little scary.
Yeah, well, they're a little hungry at that point. You know what I'm saying? So this mountain, though, that we're going, it has had numerous sightings and strange occurrences over the years. My friend Mike, a number of years ago, saw a black triangle while walking his dogs at the top of the mountain. And we have heard reports of weird screaming and yelling coming from it that almost sounds like an animal that is being ripped apart, but doesn't quite sound like that. I mean, the beautiful part about this area, Alex, is there's a lot of wilderness people up here. You know what I'm saying? So they know the difference between a shrieking rabbit and some monster that is making a noise.
Yeah, that's what I always like about, you know, a lot of the Bigfoot people that live out, you know, in those areas, and their testimonies, and that is they're people that grew up in those areas for the most part, and they know their animals. They know what their animals sound. You know, they're not stupid.
No. Hey, you mentioned something right off the bat here that you've kind of stepped away from the UFO field because it's a little too crazy right now. What's giving you that opinion?
It's just turned into, you know, a lot of cult kind of personalities between the TTSA people or all in, you know, TTSA worship. On the other side, you have all the whistleblowers people that have turned into like a cult of whistleblowing, you know, worship. And then you have the whole political side of it where everything is related to the Space Force and Trump and all that. And that's become kind of like a cult. And it's just like, at this point, it's like no one's really that interested in the actual UFO field anymore. It's all about kind of proving who your your leader is. It's becoming very cultish, and that kind of bothers me, because I thought we're all in this for truth and just for the subject itself, not using the subject as propaganda for something else.
Yeah, I can see that. And, it's been like that for a couple of years now. And I found it extremely frustrating as well. And so with you taking a step back, because you were at one point, heavily involved with MUFON, and UFOs are a big part of what you do, how tough of a decision for you was that?
It's tough, and I never really truly stepped away. I mean, just last week, I did an interview for Russian television on UFOs and, the Japan case and the TTSA. So it's like I try to get out, but it always pulls me back in because I love it, man. Honestly, I just love that shit. Oh, sorry about that. About the swearing.
That's all right. That's all right. We'll forgive you.
I really do. I love that world. I love.
And that's easy to see.
So much potential. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. We'll start off in the UFO field because you have some very interesting stories about the paranormal that I want you to get into a little bit later on in the show. But with the UFO front right now, you mentioned these cult-like groups that are out there, and it really seems like you have to choose sides. And if you don't choose sides, you almost become like a pariah in the field. Now, in regards to that, how do you stay non-biased with your research with so much pressure out there right now from people trying to take your opinion and make it one-sided, whether it's one side or the other?
Yeah, it's really hard. You just kind of have to stick to your guns. Like, I've always had my philosophy's never really changed. I've always been about kind of grounded research, but at the same time, I've always been willing to look into anything at any point in time. And I think you just have to remember that, and I always start off with my hypothesis, and I've never changed my motto, and I just go from there. I just, when I was a volleyball player, right, like I went as far as trying out for the Team USA and all that stuff. And we learned something that you take care of your side of the net. You take care of what you do, and everything else that comes after that. And I kind of taken that into the UFO field. I just kind of do what I do. And, the one thing, though, I'll admit, though, it's affected me emotionally more than it used to, where I get a lot more pissed off and aggressive as I used to be. But I try to just, kind of do my thing and not let those other things come in mind, I had a long conversation with Steve Murillo, who I'm sure a lot of you listeners know, about this very topic. Like, how do we stay objective in this zeitgeist, today, and not fall into with these groups or, and it's hard, man. It's really hard, but like I said, just keep my head down and just stick to my guns, maybe more than I should at times, but that keeps me kind of sane in that way.
Do you think because of the way the paranormal field, especially UFOs, since we're focusing on that right now, is, and the way people are acting, that we're starting to see a lot of people maybe go into hiding with what they are uncovering with their own information? Like, because going public with anything now really seems to be the death knell for any type of researcher. You get called a fake, fraud. If your research takes you into one direction that isn't liked by a certain amount of people, you get, if you got that beautiful piece of evidence that you've been dreaming of, you have to debate whether or not you're actually going to release it, because there's going to be the clowns out there who try to dissuade it, even though they haven't even researched it or read the story.
Yeah, absolutely, because I feel like that at times, and I'm sure I'm not alone. I mean, like every time I do a show, or whether it's, it's a TV show, or I go public with a case or something, if I make the mistake of reading the comments, and I make the mistake of going to YouTube and seeing videos about my case or something that I did, and I get called every name in the book. It's like by people that, first of all, I haven't even read, the research that I did. It's just make assumptions, and it's ugly. It's like, it's really ugly, and I think, yeah, that definitely keeps people away. On the other hand, though, going back to kind of like the TTSA thing, regardless of how manipulative that whole thing has been, it does create an environment where, because it's become so public, where people outside of the the usual UFO community are more willing to come forward with some of their stories. And that's where I think the one positive aspect of all of this is you'll have like pilots, for example, as we've seen, in the news occasionally, that'll go independently and tell their stories. And I think as a community, that's what we got to run with. I think again, the problem is everyone's like waiting for a Messiah, a disclosure Messiah, and it doesn't exist. There's no such thing. But I think even using all the negativity from the whistleblowers, from the TTSA, I think we can run with it and kind of go out there, try to find our own evidence, our own films, videos, whatever, and kind of push disclosure from our end instead of waiting for, again, one of those, messiahs.
Now, when you say Messiah, are you talking about maybe a government official, the president himself, coming out and getting into this? What do you mean by that?
Well, I think like, Tom DeLonge or DeLong, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, from TTSA has become kind of like almost like this messianic figure for a lot of people where they worship him. Elizondo. I'm actually people arguing on Facebook about how he's the greatest thing that's ever happened to ufology. It's like this worship, or even the president on some level, right? It's, anytime he says anything about UFOs and he's barely said anything, all of a sudden he's leading the Space Force and he's out, this secretly fighting the deep state, with disclosure. And that's disturbing to me, and I think, and that's the big problem. It's like anytime you start waiting for somebody else to solve your problems, that's never a good sign, and nothing gets done. And that's when you start falling into false positive or false beliefs.
I see where you're going with that. And I would pretty much concur with that. So as people, here's one thing that I've noticed, and please correct me if you think I'm wrong on this, because I think everybody has an interesting opinion of what is truly happening in this field right now. Do you think that more people are going underground with their research because they are tired of the political side of the game and they're just trying to put their nose to the grindstone and make this happen? They're not interested in television shows. They're not interested in the whole political agenda. They realize what is going on because, if you put your name out there, and I look at people, whether, on both sides of the ledger, I look at, DeLong, I look at Danny Silva, I look at John Greenwald, I look at MJ Banias and people like that. It just seems like everybody is trying to just tear each other apart in this field.
Yeah, no, you're right. John especially. I was commenting with you earlier when we were talking on the phone at John Greenwald. Some of the comments people make on his timeline it's ugly, man. Considering that guy has done some of the best research I've ever seen in this field, if I'm going to be honest. I think for the last few years, no one's done the kind of work, and he has. And all he does is straight from the government. It's straight official documents, and if people still question that. So yeah, for sure, for the rest of us, I'm going to be honest with you right now, and I would have never said this years ago, where my whole point was like, I want to bring this to the people. I want to, spread as much info as possible and, reach out to outside of the community and all that. Now, and I've had almost a couple offers doing this, if somebody went privately, was going to fund my research, but everything I did would go straight to them and never be public, I would take it in a second. Not even for a whole lot of money, just so I wouldn't have to deal with the public aspect of being a UFO researcher.
When it comes to UFOs, what do you want to solve? What do you want to happen?
Everything. The first thing I want to do is document it. I think to me we're such a visual society that the first thing I would want to do is document something, but not this blurry videos, not this, infrared videos, just something on film in daytime, clear as day. I think that would be the holy grail of it. But bigger than that, I'd like to see more of a global approach to it. I really believe there's areas in the world today where, despite some of the hoaxes of bodies that we've had in the last few years, that idea is still solid. If aliens, let's say, have been here for thousands of years or longer, there's physical proof somewhere. We should go look for that. There's areas in the world that have had UFO activity, daytime, nighttime, for generations and generations. We should go to those areas and camp out. There's stuff outside of government disclosure. I think more of almost an anthropological approach to it, which obviously is my background. That's what I would like to see, like a multidisciplinary approach across, all facets of different, scientific modalities and different research modalities, and but be a global effort. Wish list, I know.
And I think you see that and I hate to keep beating the drum of this, but I think you see that in the new documentary series of Hellier. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that or if you've seen it or not yet, but the job that they are doing with taking those synchronicities and those modalities that are happening from season 1 to season 2, I find is absolutely incredible. And I really think that they are showing the way that real research is done. Real research isn't done on a weekend. It's 24/7. You know that better than anybody. I mean, you do this full time. This is your career. This is your living. And I would love the secret, and I'm sure many of us would love the secret on how you do it, but to do the paranormal full time. But for the most part, I think that what we're seeing here is a real shift in the way things are going as people are trying to get away from that weekend warrior crap and get more into the solid side of paranormal research, and look to take it all to that next level without opinion, without lying about science, without lying about journalism, without lying about anything.
Yeah, I mean, so two things there. First of all, I've seen the first season of Hellier, and I thought it was great. I don't agree with all the conclusions, but they're honest. And for the record, though, I'm friends with Jim Perry, which is related, he's worked on Hellier. He wasn't on film in the first one, so that full disclosure, that might be a little biased. He's a great guy, great researcher. But yeah, I love the approach that they took, kind of thinking outside the box and going out there and doing it. I have a lot of respect for what they did, and I haven't watched season 2 yet, I'm sorry. But also to your point, and I've been pushing this for years, and I take a lot of crap on this, but I'm a firm believer that we need a professional system, in this field where we get paid, well, so I don't have to eat Hot Pockets, like during the week. And then we have enough money to go out and actually do research, because it's going to take time and it's going to take money, and that whole stigma about it's not real research and it's biased if you're making money off it is ridiculous, And because the only way for us to really make money these days, besides, appearances and books and TV and whatever, is, well, mostly it's TV, and that's usually you're handed a script in a lot of those shows, and it's not real research, especially, if you're going on an investigation with a TV crew, you're there, like one night maybe, wherever you're at, and that's the only way that really, for us to make money. And so I firmly believe that a fully funded professional system for people that, and you have to qualify for this. You're going to have some kind of education and some kind of experience in the field, is the only way moving forward.
You know what? I would agree with you on that. And that actually brings up an interesting question, because we only have about 4.5 minutes until we are going to go to break at the bottom of the hour. Alex Mistretta is our guest tonight. Alex, you are one of the few in this entire continent who is making a career off of studying the paranormal, supernatural, UFOs, etc. Now, it's none of our business with how you make your money or how you stay afloat, because all we ever hear is there's no money in this field. There is no money doing this. And people whine and complain about that every single day. And yet, if you do make a living off of this, you're immediately attacked by people calling your work biased. You must be bought and paid for by a group like Bigelow's or TTSA or BFRO or you name it. You must be paid off by someone to be doing this. And how can we trust your research if you're getting paid off and you're not coming to proper conclusions? Why is there such an adamant argument that we're not allowed to make money or a life off of something that we love in this field?
I have no idea. I never understood. I never got a good handle on why that is. And for full disclosure, I'm broke, man. I mean, you have, right now you have to pay your dues. I mean, my car's broken right now. I can't afford to fix it. That's what it takes if you really want to try to do this full time. And I stay afloat by doing some personal training, like kind of early in the morning, and then I get the rest of the day so I can do this stuff. So that's full disclosure. Yeah, I consider myself, full time, but like I was saying, I eat Hot Pockets. I have to cancel I cancel about 75% of the investigations I get invited to. If I'm going to be completely honest, about 75%. I've canceled 5 trips last year because I couldn't afford to go. And yeah, so I never understood where that bias comes from. And I think, again, on some level, and I don't want to, put anybody down, but there's this kind of this attitude where no one wants to look up to somebody being a bona fide expert. No one wants, we're kind of like into this anti-science, anti-education zeitgeist, especially here in the United States. And as soon as somebody is kind of in your face saying they have an education or they know more about a subject than you do, you want to tear them down, and I think that's, the same mechanism why, Rotten Tomatoes has got so many ugly reviews for a lot of movies. People just want to tear things down. And in this field where we got used to the idea that there's no answers, people, honestly, half of the people that in this community don't want answers. They want to keep the mystery going. I think there's a lot of truth to that.
I think there's a lot of truth to that too, because the minute you solve it, you solve the mystery or you solve the Rubik's Cube. What do you do next? Right. And I do believe that you're probably right on that. There's probably a lot of that out there. However, the vitriol that we get from people out there, whether they're investigators or just people who have a common interest in this group, I mean, heaven forbid if you're allowed to make a living off of something you enjoy.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I never saw it coming. The negativity towards that I know, I can't talk to anybody else, but I know that I've gotten, and I know I'm not alone. I never saw coming, to be honest. It really took me by surprise because I thought, if anything, people would kind of admire my dedication, the fact that, and would understand that I love this stuff more than anything, obviously. But yeah, I wish I had an answer. Yeah, you have to, and I've seen people turn on. I mean, as soon as I saw people turn on Richard Dolan, for example, recently, when I think he questioned, and it was either the TTSA or one of the whistleblowers, people just turn on me in this field really quick. And now I think we're kind of at the height of that ugliness, so to speak. And, I didn't see it coming. I got to admit.
Well, you know what? We're going to get into a different subject when we come back from break here, because you have some interesting stories and tales to tell us in regards to a lot of the research you have been finding out. And I'm interested to pass that on to our audience too, because, we all like a good story. We all want to know where it's going with the investigation. So we're going to expect you to help us woo it up here in the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio. Coming up with Alex Mistretta right after this.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
we're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturday starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines Report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Welcome back to the second half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Welcome to all of you. Reminder that if you missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. From sunny California, we have Alex Mistretta with us tonight. We're talking UFOs, ghosts, cryptids, Bigfoot. What's he looking for these days? You never know. He might even find Waldo. That's how serious he takes his search and research. Alex, welcome back to the show.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Don't underestimate Waldo. It's a big mystery.
Oh, it is a big mystery. Very big mystery, and I hope you get that one. When you do, let me know. Let me know. I would appreciate it. Hey, I want to ask you, before we move into the cryptid world or anything here, you know, I did not a Facebook, but a YouTube Live the other day, and a person asked me on there, you know, why don't we see any big famous cases anymore? Okay, like the Betty and Barney Hill type case, or the Travis Walton type abduction. Where did those all disappear to?
That's a good question. I think part of that too is I think they're out there, but they get lost in the noise, and people's attention span is so much shorter than they used to be. And, and it's not, there used to be a certain novelty, with some of those landmark cases. And today there's been so many of them, and it's so hard to decipher what's a real case and what's not. I think people just don't bother anymore, I think they're still out there, but it's just, like I said, I think they get lost in all the noise.
That's kind of sad to think about that.
Oh yeah, that's what some of the things that keep me, awake at night is just having come across a great case, a great video, a great picture, whatever, and just completely dismissed it just because we're so used to, with all the crap that's around it, we're like, yeah, whatever, or just didn't think it was real because there's so much fake stuff out there, so many hoaxes. That's it. And your main job at this point, you waste so much time discerning between what's real and what's not, that you don't spend a whole lot of time on actual cases, and that's become a problem.
I can see that. Not even being an investigator, that one is pretty obvious to see something like that causing some sort of issue out there. So when we are out in the field then, or let me ask you this as a follow-up. Is it the advent and the troubles with social media that's caused that? Is it a social media problem?
That's part of it. I think that's a huge part of it. But it's not. It's also how a lot of social media has allowed, shall we say, some more questionable individuals to have a bigger presence than they should. And now it's not who does the best work. It's not who has the best evidence. It's who's the loudest. So if you're some guy on YouTube, even though, you didn't graduate junior college, but you're really loud and, you get this voice and people follow you, well, people are going to listen to you and not the guy that spent, 20 hours in the field this week and came back with pictures, because he doesn't know how to play, with social media. So it's, it's who's the loudest. It's not who's got the best evidence. And that's kind of where we're at. And most of the people who are at the loudest are people that actually don't really have evidence because they're not out there. Spend all their time on social media.
So when you have the social media crowd that is really becoming volatile, angry, snarky about these topics, are they doing it to kill the topic, or in your opinion, are they doing it because we've become a headline type reading society?
I think the latter. It's part of, we're a headline society. Honestly, I do it too. I get really pissed off on Facebook, but I have a lot of, and I write some pretty long posts where I'll go through the evidence and I'll analyze it and I'll give my hypothesis. And I realize that when people make comments, all they've read was like the first two lines, the title, I think people just don't read, or they just want a quick visual, a quick sentence, and it's, it's part of what social media teaches you, right? It's all kind of quick bites. So you don't get to the actual research, you just get to one quick bite, and what are you going to do with that?
Okay, so considering you have changed your direction a little bit, going from covering a lot of UFOs and ghosts, where you've now kind of, pushed UFOs a little bit to the wayside, and you're now focusing more on cryptids and the paranormal side, how do the investigations differ from UFOs?
Well, on the cryptozoology, like the UFO and the paranormal investigations are pretty similar because you're dealing with such a transient phenomena, even though I firmly believe that you can stack it in your favor and go to spots and kind of make it come to you. When you start dealing with cryptozoology, you're dealing with, for most part, something a lot more biological. So once you kind of factor in all the factors, you have a much clearer avenue of research, and it's a lot easier. And that field, to be honest, hasn't gotten quite as crazy, I mean, the Bigfoot field a little bit, but there's still a lot of pretty grounded individual in that field, and it's kind of a fresh, a bit of a fresh air. And I just enjoy it, man. I like being out in the outdoors too, which is kind of nice. But I think the idea that, with whether you're dealing with Bigfoot or Mokele Membe in Africa or whatever, is at any point in time you can come around the corner. It's like Vegas, right? You can win. You can come around the corner and boom, there it is, And I found that pretty exciting. I don't gamble, but to me that's like, it's addicting.
Sure enough. So when you were out on a case, when you were out on a cryptid type case where you need to be able to find that information, and let's stick with cryptids here for just a little bit. It's easy to say, well, you're going out in the forest to take a look at things, but there is much more to that than probably the public is even aware.
Yeah, like personally, I don't follow up on sighting reports. I think that's kind of like a dated modality. That's just because then you're going where something was, not where it's going to be. So, for example, 3 years ago, I think it was, I organized with UPARS and Steve Murillo and Rick Sennett and a couple other guys to go off to southern Washington, right, on the Bigfoot thing. So the reason I picked that spot is not because they had any recent sightings, but one, because it was pretty remote. It was in the middle of Bigfoot country, and so I analyzed some of the historical sightings, and it seems to be an upswing in sightings, for example, in October, right? There hasn't been any recently, but in October, for whatever reason, there's a few more sightings closer to town. So that kind of tells me that maybe it's just some kind of migration, or they're out looking for food before the winter sets in, that sort of thing. And and you kind of take all that information and kind of put it into your mental computer, and then it kind of comes up with then you get a spot, and an area, a time of year that is more conducive, I think, to getting evidence. And sure enough, we got some tracks, kind of like right off the bat. So it's just like you look for, a place that has all the natural resources as well, right? There's got to be enough water nearby. It has to be far enough from people, but close enough that it's accessible. You just kind of like with UFOs and the paranormal usually you just go to haunted house, or a haunted location. So it's very finite area. With UFOs, most of the time when I was a MUFON, just follow up on sightings. But I think I like the idea of kind of creating my own possible sightings more than following it up. I think we have to be proactive, and that's where cryptozoology, it's a lot easier to be proactive in that field than it is in ufology, for example.
Out of the big three, paranormal, cryptids, and UFOs, do you think the easiest one to solve, or the mystery that might get solved first, is most likely Bigfoot?
100%, yeah, I really think so. I think it's, and chances are it might just be somebody by chance that comes across the body when in the woods or takes a picture or video. I think it's by far the most likely. Now, let's say if we had unlimited amount of funding and we can go wherever we want, I think there's other animals, other species, some are Bigfoot related, I think are much better spots for discovery. And for example, I think the Almasty, which is the Russian Bigfoot, I think that's a lot easier to find. I think maybe even Oran Pendek, which is a Sumatran, it's a diminutive Bigfoot. I think those, because I think they live in a more finite area, and I think it might be easier to find. But Yeah, as things stand now, I think Bigfoot is the most likely to be solved in the next 10 years.
Now, there's so much debate. I mean, if you want to go down the political realm, there's so much debate in regards to what Bigfoot is. Is it a member of the Gigantopithecus? Is it a supernatural type creature that First Nations people tend to lean towards? I mean, there is a lot going on here when it comes to Sasquatch. And, I'm curious your opinion of that, because that leads to a lot of stress that we see in this field as well.
Yeah. Well, my stance is I'm very anti-supernatural for Bigfoot. And so let it be said that having a paranormal supernatural origin is very different than having paranormal or supernatural attributes. That can come much later. From an origin standpoint, I firmly believe that Bigfoot is either hominid, meaning either an ape or either the human family, or hominid, which means strictly from a human family. Because if you start looking at the fossil record, and there's a plethora of possible candidates for Bigfoot ancestors. It's not just Gigantopithecus from the ape side. There's on the human side, if you go back to Paranthropus boisei, which is kind of like this robust Australopithecus that went extinct about 2 million years ago. It's small, but it's like very much a proto Bigfoot. And as we've seen with the discoveries in the last 10 years, we now know that genetics has pretty much proven human evolution, that it happens. Right? It doesn't mean that there's an outside factor added on, but it works. Genetics has proven that. But it also has, and the fossil record suggests evolution genetics proves it. And the other thing that it's proven is that you take, let's say 300,000 years ago in Africa, you had something like 9 species of hominid walking around, some interbreeding at the same time. Homo erectus, for example, which is another robust hominid that now they found out just went extinct a mere 100,000 years ago, when we used to think it was 1 million to 2 million years ago. So it coexisted with modern man, meaning that a species that's ancestral to modern man can coexist with modern man for millions of years past that time when we branched off. So the possibilities for a species like Bigfoot is huge now, and people are like, well, how come we don't have proof of that? We don't have Bigfoot bones. We don't have a Bigfoot fossil. Because nothing is labeled Bigfoot, because technically that doesn't exist from an anthropological standpoint, right? It's got to be labeled something else. And now from Homo naledi to the recent discoveries in the Philippines and Indonesia, it's dramatically changed the Bigfoot field, in my opinion, where now for sure we can, at some point, genetics is going to prove that Bigfoot came to North America probably from Eurasia, and walked across the land bridge, and we'll be able to trace that back.
With that being said, do you look at the entire study of it? Because you and I will agree to disagree on what Sasquatch is. Okay, right. I do believe there is something special about this. Is it supernatural? I don't know. I really don't know, but we're allowed to agree to disagree, because in the end, you have a theory, I have a theory, and we're allowed to talk like friends about it. We don't have to debate it all the time. You know what I'm saying? But in your instance with Bigfoot, with so many sightings since the Europeans came to North America, how have we not proven this existence yet? Do you buy into the curiosity and the conspiracy theory that surrounds it? Or what are we missing, Alex?
I don't know. I honestly don't know, but you're right. That bothers me too. There's something that, and here's the thing too. And so as I said, I'm not a big fan of the paranormal aspect to it, but I'm willing to look into it. And here's the thing though, there's definitely a weird aspect with Sasquatch in the United States, but it's something you don't get in Asia with the Yeti, you don't get with the Almasti in Russia. None of that paranormal modalities show up at all, which is very, which is kind of why I'm kind of against it a little bit. But, I can't answer because I don't know. I have no idea whatsoever. I agree with you, though. It's weird. The only thing I can say is that, and I just forgot what I was about to say, to be honest with you. But, yeah, I don't know.
The conspiracy side. The conspiracy side.
Yeah, I think obviously I know the government is hiding it, because I've talked to wildlife, fish, what's the Department of Fish and Wildlife? Yeah, I've talked to a lot of guys that said, yeah, we know it's out there, off the record. We know it's out there. We've seen it, but we've been told not to talk about it. Which, part of that obviously has to do with people make money off people going in the outdoors, going camping, and and with the amount of people that disappear every year in the wilderness, you start admitting, that there's this 7-foot monster, for lack of a better word, out there that can tear your arms off. They're going to lose money from people not going to want to go to national parks anymore. People are going to stay away from the outdoors. So I think there's that angle to it. I think a lot of it has to do with money and not. How do you admit to people that something like that is out there?
Well, that's my point, is this entire cover-up. See, I can understand covering it up, all right? Because you're literally going to kill a number of natural resource industries in areas. You are. That's without a doubt. Whether it's logging, mining, fisheries, whatever it may be. Because the minute we find this creature, prove it into existence, that opens up an entire can of worms that I don't think a lot of people fully comprehend. Now we have to put it on an endangered species list because we don't know how many there are. We have to find out where it is roaming and tracking, and therefore check those areas for natural resources. What do they eat? And it really does open up a scientific can of worms if this is proven, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to have a dramatic effect, even though, I questioned today how much interest is going to be from people after about a week. But yeah, theoretically, it's a huge story. Biologically, it's the biggest story probably on the planet, especially if it turns out to be closely related to us. And then that's the other thing too. People have been shooting at it. So are we talking about murder then? If someone shoots it, it's, there's a lot of different aspects to it that I don't think they really want to deal with.
I never thought of the murder aspect. That's kind of grotesque.
Yeah, because that was part of the whole story behind the Minnesota Iceman, right? I don't know if you know the story. In the 60s,
those who don't know.
Yeah. So in the 60s, there was a body. It was called the Minnesota Iceman that was displayed in this kind of like a little carnival type of deal by a guy named Frank. I can't remember his last name right now. So anyway, and it looked like a Bigfoot body, right? The picture, you can look it up. The picture's online. And a couple biologists or zoologists, one famous Belgian, his name is Bernard Heuvelman, who's also a cryptozoologist. He wrote a lot of books, but he was a zoologist. And Ivan Sanderson, which a lot of people know because he wrote a lot of paranormal books, came to check out the body, and they declared it a real body. But it had a bullet hole, and somebody had killed it. And they said they could smell the rotting of the flesh and the whole deal. And I firmly believe it was a real body. But at some point, Frank, the owner, after the FBI got involved, kind of freaked out. He started wondering, well, am I going to get accused of murder? And he got rid of the body, which was decomposing anyway. It was in a block of ice, by the way. So, and replaced it with a fake. And if you even look at the pictures, you can tell it's two different bodies. And so, he was afraid that the FBI was gonna come down to him for murder or something illegal, or shooting even an endangered species or whatever. So that, that comes into play. And I don't know what the law would be, if you shoot a Bigfoot. For the record, I'm very much against shooting it to begin with, because I'm not a big fan of shooting animals or species to begin with. But that's, I think that's an issue.
I think it could be, too, as we got about 3 minutes here before we go to break at the top of the hour. Alex Mistretta is our guest tonight. So what is the best information that we have out there on Bigfoot, in your opinion? All right. In my opinion, there hasn't been a lot of photographs or videos outside of the Patterson-Gimlin film that have convinced me 100% that we're looking for a real creature here.
I agree. There isn't. Anybody that says otherwise is kind of exaggerating. We don't have. There's a few videos that are intriguing and some good photographs. Most of the ones, a lot of them are faked. So no, we don't have that. We just don't. that's the truth of the matter. I think it's looking at evidence. I think the hair sample, some of it that came out as, primate, non-human primate, the blood sample, that sort of thing is obviously a little more intriguing from that standpoint, But I think we really could get definitive proof from a video or picture sample, and if we just had a bit of money and we did it right, I think there's definitely some spots that we're not going to that we should be.
So if this creature is out there, which I believe it is, I've seen 2 of them, is it a matter of more game cams, drone footage? Is technology going to find this? Or is it something along the lines where a lot of people believe, including many in the indigenous communities, that you don't find Sasquatch, it finds you?
I agree, it finds you. I think obviously the technology that's part 2. Part 1, I believe you have to do, when those guys go out and they make a National Geographic documentary on tigers, they stand there for weeks and they hang out. They just wait for the animals to kind of get used to you being in their environment. And I think that's what we have to do with Bigfoot. We're not going to run after it. We're not going to beat it in its own environment. We're not made to run. We're not made to navigate in the woods. They are. If they want to stay away, they'll hear us coming a mile away. I mean, it's not going to be like finding Bigfoot where the guys are out there with a marching band or making calls or hitting on trees. I'm sorry, but that's useless. You have to go there, pick a spot, you hang out, and you wait for it to come to you. I firmly believe that. And I think once you've established an area where you're welcome, then you can start bringing up, the drones and the equipment and all that stuff.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see where it goes, because I don't think 2020 is going to be the year of the Sasquatch, at least finding what it is.
Right.
Do you think we're still as we got about 30-some seconds here, do you think we are still a long ways away from it?
I think so, because we keep doing the same thing over again, and obviously that's not working. So, yeah, I think within 10 years, though, there's definitely a possibility. But like I said, chances are it's going to be someone just by chance that's completely unrelated to the Bigfoot community, a car that hits one, or that's probably, best bet. Unless someone does fund me and give me full amount of money, then I got ideas.
Well, that would be okay too, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
That would definitely be okay. Alex,
I'd be okay with that.
Yeah, me too. Alex, I'm going to get you to hold on here because we're going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Investigator, researcher Alex Mistretta joins us on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to continue the cryptid talk, get into some ghosts as well in the next hour of Spaced Out Radio, so stay tuned.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Are you an experiencer of something strange that can't be explained? Do you want help finding out what's going on? I'm Ryan Stacy, head of the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We've teamed up with Spaced Out Radio to investigate cases filled out in the SOR Sightlines report. We are independent and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines report.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thielen. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Hi there, this is Geraldine Orozco from San Francisco's Bay Area Meditation. I invite you to join me the first Tuesday of every month with Dave Scott for Spaced Out Radio's The Spiritual You. In this fast-paced world we live in, it's time for you to take some time for you. We'll cover every possible subject from powerful meditation to healing techniques to your own intuition and spirituality. So come join us for The Spiritual You.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from TalkStream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now. The Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Hi, this is Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel where we store all of the SOR show archives for free. And as an added bonus, every 2 weeks I'm posting brand new content on Cryptid Tales, where I will get into some of the spookier legends and folklore from around the world and tell the stories that go with them. Find us at youtube.com/spacedoutradio and check out Cryptid Tales today. Drop a comment and let me know what you want to hear. See you there. The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour 2 of Spaced Out Radio is underway tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for joining us. Want to say hello to everyone listening in on our terrestrial affiliates, WQEE 99.1 FM in Newnan, Georgia, KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon, KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas, KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California, and to Joe Montaldo and the crew at UPRN at 107.7 FM in New Orleans. On the digital side, we're proud to broadcast on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Remember, you can check out all of our archives for free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Balneology. Balneology is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, grab a great book from We Read the Night. Join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. We're talking everything from ghosts to UFOs tonight with researcher and investigator Alex Mistretta, who's out of Los Angeles, California. Always good to have you here, Alex.
Thank you. Appreciate it again.
From the SOR Space Travelers Club, we have a question for you from Lori, who is asking, Alex, what about the rumors of the giant bones that have been found and lost or buried in the cellar of the Smithsonian?
Yeah, the one from the American Southwest. I think it's a real thing, but I think the size of the bones have been kind of exaggerated a little bit. We're still talking within 7-8 feet at most. I don't think they're Bigfoot bones, for the record. I do believe that there was a Homo sapien, maybe not a separate species, but a branch that lived here in the American Southwest and in Patagonia, for example, that were much larger than normal humans. In fact, in Europe, a few hundred years ago, talks of giants in South America was kind of like the big deal. It was like you went to dinner parties, and that's what they talked about. Because a lot of explorers came back and claimed that they met giants, in Patagonia. But so yeah, for sure, I think those bones are for real. And unfortunately, yeah, they've been either destroyed or they're Smithsonian somewhere, and they don't want to. Obviously, they like their dogma, so they don't want to get those out.
So do you think that the Smithsonian is behind any type of cover-up towards Bigfoot?
No, not today, because I don't think they're involved in it whatsoever. I don't think they're in the loop, It's not like they're out there looking for it. I think they've dismissed it. Now, for the record, from a science standpoint, I like the Smithsonian a lot, but they're very conservative as well. And, yeah, I don't think they're players at all in the Bigfoot world. I think they'll just deny it just based on dogma.
Outside of Bigfoot, there are a number of cryptids out there, and one that we haven't heard a lot of, maybe it's falling out of the popularity realm over the last year, has been these Dogman cases. Originally, it started in the 1989 when Linda Godfrey broke the story about the Beast of Bray Road, and it just kind of took on a life of its own from there. Are we having any of the... Go ahead.
Actually, we're having a lot more of those than people think. It's just like I get them all the time. And I've been invited to, I have a couple, so-called secret spots that if I can get the money together, I'm going to go investigate that people claim to have dogman sightings. The hot spots are Michigan, Alberta, Canada, and yeah, obviously the aforementioned, Wisconsin, with the Brees Bray Road. Here's the thing, though. I don't talk about it publicly a whole lot because it sounds so ridiculous. And it's hard enough, to be legitimate in this field and be taken seriously, especially if you want to get funding, because you have to go outside the community, right, to get funding. So Bigfoot is one thing because, again, you can kind of propose a biological origin for it. But Dogman, from a physiological standpoint, it's pretty much impossible. So that creates a lot of problems, and I think a lot of people just don't talk about it. But I get more Dogman sightings in the last few months than I've gotten any Bigfoot sightings. And it's on the increase.
Really? Do you think
Yeah,
this could be
absolutely.
the year of the Dogman again? And if so, what would cause that?
I think because, at least of the sightings that I'm getting, it seems to be a lot more aggressive than Bigfoot. So I think it has a tendency to not run away. It may have more of a tendency to attack. So I think it's more likely that we're going to have some kind of encounter, maybe even a violent encounter. And if anybody gets hurt, automatically the police gets involved. And once that goes public, it's kind of hard to put the genie back in the bottle. So I think from that standpoint, it's definitely a strong possibility. But if you want to talk about a subject that there's a conspiracy that they're going to keep it quiet, that's the one more so than Bigfoot.
In Alberta, where are these Dogman sightings happening?
I can't really tell you because the gentleman I've been talking to is kind of wants me to stay quiet on that for right now. So out of respect, I can't say anything. Michigan, I can say it's an Upper Peninsula. And I mean all over the Upper Peninsula. And I mean, you can draw some kind of, its range seems to go from there down into Kentucky, and probably, to Wisconsin and Ohio even. But I even heard some strange owls when I was in Ohio that didn't sound like Bigfoot, but it sounded like something much big, so. Yeah, honestly, I think, I stayed away from it for a while because it sounded ridiculous at first. And, I thought, well, I love werewolves as much as the next guy. I mean, The Howling is like one of my favorite films, but yeah, it's on the increase. Just that could potentially blow up.
Now, with Dogman, we know it obviously doesn't mind the colder temperament climates because it is seen more in the northern regions of the United States, and let's face it, Canada is just damn cold right across the board. Doesn't matter if it's summer or not; it can snow at any time. All right. But in regards to that, have we been able to establish any type of patterns with these Dogman creatures?
Not yet. Aside from, I think, geography, and like I said, and this is just my personal perspective based on, the information I've gathered, that there's definitely certain areas, definitely up north, you're right, in, Upper Peninsula and Canada, but there's just not enough research done on it just quite yet. I mean, we even had Dogman sightings around Skinwalker Ranch, right, which is a whole other deal. So it's out there, but we need more work.
So what do you think the Dogman is? If you think on a scientific level, you believe that Sasquatch is a creature that has been around for a long time, what the hell is Dogman to you?
I don't know, because, right, you don't have the historical record with something like Dogman, except from in the India region, in Afghanistan and Pakistan, where, they had stories of the dog-headed people that lived up in the hills. And speaking of that region, incidentally, I did have a gentleman that came back from Afghanistan, I believe, years ago, that told me that his platoon encountered Dogman up in the hills up there, among a bunch of other things, and then kind of lost contact with the guy. But anyway, back to the United States. No, I think you can't trace it back from a fossil standpoint because there's nothing in a fossil record. There's no animal that looks like that. Not to mention that, and again, we say dogman, but that's just kind of an assumption based on the fact that it looks like a werewolf from a biological standpoint. It might not be related to dogs, wolves at all, right? But when you start thinking about, but if it does, you start thinking about dogs or wolves. They don't walk bipedal like we do because, excuse me, they don't have a plantigrade foot, which is what we have and what bears have that allowed us to walk with a flat foot. They're digitigrade, and they're not built to become bipedal in any way whatsoever. So there's something else going on. And so I was talking to someone who I can't name because they used to work in the Department of Defense. And it's not someone that would straight up tell me things, but we had conversations. And occasionally, I can kind of decipher some things. And that person asked me, they're like, do you think, would it be possible you can take a Bigfoot, let's say theoretically, that would be captured by the government and through, the CRISPR technology or DNA modification, you could create something like Dogman? So, that, if you want to go on the conspiracy level, that's an interesting angle because it's possible today, right? With the new technology, you can add you can mix and match DNA any way you want. We have the technology to do that. And since Dogman is such a recent phenomena, that equation all of a sudden kind of pops up.
All right, back to Bigfoot for a second, because Joe in our chat room has a question. I'm going to read what he sent me earlier today. He goes, last night, 4:30 in the morning, 32 degrees out. He's on the California-Nevada border. He goes, I'm smoking a cigarette, and I hear a whistle coming from the woods off to my right. A long high note followed by a long low note. I thought that's kind of weird that someone's looking for their dog in the woods this early in the morning, but not unheard of. Then off to my left, I hear the same whistle. Then straight out and further away, the whistle again. Then I heard off to my right and a little closer, the whistle. Went on for about 3 minutes, but the weirdest part was when the whistling started, all the frogs in the forest went completely silent. Lots of frogs noise because it's been wet here. I tried to capture it with my camera, but was not successful. Just another really odd thing in my neck of the woods. So my question to you, or the question from Joe is, have you ever heard of any stories of Sasquatch whistling to each other?
Oh, absolutely, all the time. And one thing that rings true from what the account is when he said that it would go from a high note to a low note. That's something that I hear all the time. And I've heard sounds myself, and I've heard, plethora of recordings. There seems to be a pretty big range of vocalization that they have the ability to vocalize. So to me, when they go high pitch, and it's not the whistle, just a high pitch, it kind of sounds more like a language almost. I think it's a form of communication between them. Once you start hearing the low growl, which sounds a lot more like a gorilla type or the sound an ape would make, that's when it's becoming a more territorial and aggressive. So I think it serves two different purposes. And also the thing about animal going silent, I've heard that plenty of times. I also kind of have the theory that they emit infrasound. Like, for example, right, tigers emit infrasound where the prey becomes paralyzed, and then it's easy for a tiger to go, and eat the bunny. But in this case, because you hear it from people all the time, they feel, they get extremely scared, and then the critical thinking just gets interrupted. They can't think. They can't, behave correctly. It's almost like they're under psychic attack, as they label it, right, which is where some of the paranormal stuff comes from. I believe that maybe, or I don't say I believe, but I have a hypothesis that maybe they're able to emit infrasound. And I think certain animals can pick up on that, and that's when they say silent, because they know a big predator is in the area.
So in that case where they are whistling in Joe's scenario here, would they have been maybe kind of tipping each other off, saying, hey, we got a live one out here right now, let's be careful on what we're doing here? Would it be something along those lines?
Yeah, probably, because they've shown to have a pretty high cognitive abilities, right? Otherwise they wouldn't be able to evade camera traps all the time. So I'm sure there's a form of communication that goes on. And yeah, whistling, was probably one of them. Yeah.
But
I mean, they don't have language like they don't have language like we do, right? So they use different kind of sounds.
Well, I don't know. The Sierra sounds are pretty freaky. Sounded like some talking there.
Yeah, no, I agree. Some of that is like, I mean, it could be form of language, but not the way we have language. But I do think that they use different sounds, even different vowel sounds, whatever. And I'm sure they have different meanings. They assign different meanings to it. But I don't know if it's quite as evolved as our language is.
Right.
But I've used the Sierra sounds in a while, and it's worked for me. So there's definitely something to it.
Oh, definitely. So in a situation like Joe had, do you believe what a lot of other researchers believe, that these potential Sasquatch do run in groups? Okay, so for instance, we hear that they always run in groups of 2 or 3 to kind of triangulate their areas to make sure it's safe.
I think so. Yeah, I really do. But not all the time though, because I think there's obviously a lot of solitary sightings as well. I think they have a pretty big range, but I think it all depends on their purpose out. I think when they're out gathering maybe food or resources for their immediate family, right, for the juvenile, whatever, I think they kind of go out on their own, because I think they do live in small groups in that sense. But other times, yeah, because I've heard, and this happened to me in the woods myself, where I saw in Ohio, where I saw a figure walk between 2 trees, or kind of large bipedal figure, and then we started hearing footsteps from behind us and on the side, and I hear those stories all the time as well. So I think it's yes and no. I think both situations occur. Obviously, we don't know for sure what the difference is, but yeah, but I would be more concerned for your safety when there's more than just one,
Yeah, we were investigating about a year and a half ago. We were investigating a crash site up here, a plane crash site where I live, and we ended up getting surrounded. And we knew there was 2 of them. We knew there was 2. We don't know if there was a third, but from everything that I have heard from Sasquatch researchers over the years, the third one usually remained silent while the other 2 tried to garner some attention to kind of keep you away from that area. Have you heard that as well? And what's your thoughts?
I don't know. I've heard different versions of that. I've had people tell me stories where there's been like 8 of them or 7 of them, or literally, and it would like kind of surround an individual. Most of the stories, for what it's worth, are from the South. It seems to be a little more aggressive, and they seem to travel in kind of bigger groups. But, we're dealing with such a small pool of data that overall it's really hard to say. It might just be a coincidence that occasionally it's 3, sometimes it's 5. It just happens to be, because all the data that we have, all the tales that we have, mine, yours, and other people, or the people are actually willing to talk about it. And that's probably maybe 10% at most of all encounters. I mean, most of the stories that I've heard, one of the more spectacular stories, none of them have gone public. So, it's a little bit skewed. So we have to be really careful with, with some of that data, I think. And I think I think it depends where you are geographically. I do believe it's different in behavior if you go to British Columbia versus, I think the South. I think they're more aggressive in the South.
Yeah, I would agree with that. So who wins between a big brawl inside the squared circle, no falls, tap outs, pins allowed anywhere, between Dogman and Bigfoot?
Dogman.
Really?
I think it's meaner, more aggressive. Yeah, Dogman, it worries me, Really? Huh. I like that Sasquatch. I like Sasquatch more. I'll be rooting for him, but I don't know. All I know is personally, since the whole Dogman thing came about, I'm less comfortable in the woods than I used to be, you know? I've never really worried about getting torn apart by Bigfoot, even though I'm sure it happens. But, I mean, I don't know.
Have you
I'd
ever
be
been
more worried
around,
about...
Have you ever been around a Dogman that you know of?
Not that I know of. You know, like I said, I heard those weird howls in Ohio, but it was also after Bigfoot sighting, but the howls are more canine-like. But, you know, I'm not saying I was Dogman. I have no idea. But no, not that I know of.
See, that would scare the daylights out of me. That would scare the daylights out of me. It really would. I don't know how I would react to seeing one of those. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, because, so like, I know for me personally, from a Bigfoot, because, you know, I have a BS in anthropology, so I spent a lot of time studying species that are kind of like Bigfoot. So for me to be such a wow factor if I saw Bigfoot up close, right? Like definitively, you know, like 5 feet away, I don't think it would be fear. It would be just like more like awe. But a Dogman, you have something that looks, you know, straight out of The Howling, an American Werewolf in London. You know, it would definitely worry me a lot more.
Oh, come on. What's a little howling between friends? What's a little
Right?
howling?
Yeah.
Never hurts anybody till it's ripping your arms off. But, hey, to each their own.
Yeah, I mean, but on the other hand, it wouldn't keep me from, like I said, I got a couple locations that I've had my eye on, you know, it wouldn't keep me from going. But you better believe that I'm going to go with guys that are armed and know how to use guns, you know? 100%
What do you think
carry weapons.
Well, okay, so that opens up another set of weird questions as we've got about a minute to go here. There's a lot of people who say they've shot at this and it hasn't gone down.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of those stories. I mean, there's a lot of those stories too where they've showed that they did get hurt. It's just that they just didn't. I mean, you're talking about something that's, you know, 800 pounds, 7 feet, 8 feet tall. It's going to take a pretty big bullet. You're really going to have to hurt it, I think, for it to go down. So I don't think there's anything particularly that unusual about that. You know, and some of those shots might have missed. I'm sure there's been some that have been killed. I really do. And, you know, I've heard a few of the stories occasionally, but who knows where those bodies are and what, you know, someone did with it, or there has to be some that have been killed. There's no way around it. It's just based on chance. I really believe that.
But what if there isn't? That's what it all comes down to. That's where the woo comes from. Alex Mistretta, our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to continue talking all things monstrous and hauntingly and ghostly tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Stay tuned. More with Alex coming up right after this.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR Newswire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR Newswire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
From the heartlands of Canada to beards around the world, we know how to take care of you. Fill your follicles with the Mighty Moose Beard Oil. All our oils and balms are handmade and 100% natural ingredients because we care about your beard. And hey, use the promo code SOR2019 and get your Mighty Moose Beard Oil today. You can check us out on our website, mightymoosebeard.com.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Finish off your weekend and kick off your new week with me, Everett Thiemer, right here on Spaced Out Sundays. I'm going to bring you great guests, a little bit of snark, and plenty of information to think about. But don't worry, there's going to be plenty of woo as well. We are going to hit everything in the paranormal and supernatural, including the odd psychic Sundays. So tune us in on Sunday, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/spacedoutradio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We pass the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Great to have you with us. Reminder to all of you, if you've missed portions of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we got a plethora of features for you, including reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. We're talking with Alex Mistretta tonight on Spaced Out Radio. Who do you think wins in a big battle royal in the squared circle between Dogman and Bigfoot? I think Dogman's a kind of creature, just to put it out there, that would probably carry some sort of erroneous weapon inside its fur and try and knock Bigfoot out with it. I really do believe that. I believe he'd do a little bit of biting, much like George the Animal Steel back in the day. That's where I'm going with this, Alex. That's why I think Bigfoot gets the win.
I could see that. Well, so you're saying Dogman's like Bolo and then Van Damme's Sasquatch?
Oh, yeah. I would put Bigfoot as like the 1986 through 88 version of Hulk Hogan.
I don't know. Fighting Bigfoot says he's more like a ninja, like a forest ninja.
Okay, we'll go with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat then. How about that?
All right, we're good.
All right, we're good there. If you want to throw out any names, go to hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter and let us know. Or in one of our chat rooms. Who does Bigfoot remind you of? Anyhow, we were talking about Dogman right before the break in regards to this elusive creature. Have we been able to mark down or map any patterns of this, whether it's migratory or not? Or is this creature just a little too special and a little too far out there to get too scientific with it yet?
Yeah, I think it's a little weird. It's too early to get that scientific, and I think it's a little bit too far out there. I think, like I said, I think there's some talk about, as much as I'm on the non-paranormal side for Bigfoot, I think Dogman's something entirely different. There's something else going on there.
I'm still trying to figure out why it's so pissed off like a cat. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's, I don't have a real good handle on it, to be honest, so I wish I had more answers than I did, but I don't think any of us have yet. I think, I think the next step is to focus on areas that have been, concentration of sightings like Alberta and Upper Peninsula and go there well prepared.
By the way, Eric compares Bigfoot to the nature boy Ric Flair. We're going to get this all night now. We're going to have to do this now. We're gonna. Shane says Bruiser Brody. They're about the same hairiness. That's for sure. All right. Anyhow, what about other cryptids? All right, we hear about these pterodactyl type beings. We hear about these giant thunderbirds. Yet they're so rare.
I think they're.
Let me ask you this before you continue. How do we draw the line between what is a real cryptid and what is just disbelief?
Oh, that's hard to do, right? But I know personally, I go with any cryptid that has a species that either alive today that resembles it or could be part of the same family, same species, or something that exists partly in a fossil record. I'll look at it a little more seriously. So, you're looking at, thunderbirds, the Wahila in Canada, Mokele Membe in Africa, X in Kenya. All of those could have a presence in a fossil record or in biology. So for, again, you go to, things like Dogman of Mothman that obviously doesn't, which is why I like to take that into what I call the paracryptozoology section.
Okay, so how do we even bother investigating, like, for instance, the giant thunderbird? Now, this is a mythical creature that's said to be looking like a raven that's about 40 to 50 feet in length. It's a badass type creature, can pretty much take anything it wants. It's been seen from Texas to Pennsylvania.
Well, I think there's a pattern to it. So there's a lot of mythology, right, that's built around the Thunderbird, especially from the Native Americans, which is it's a big part of their mythology with some of the tribes. So you kind of have to decipher what's mythology and what's, kind of bona fide sightings and possible. But we know there have been birds that big in the past in North America that, that used to live here. And so then you start looking at a pattern of sightings. Now, I'm not a Thunderbird expert, but I've, spent a little bit of time on it. I do believe that, obviously, they've been decreasing, but, a lot of the sightings have been back from the 70s. I think it would originate in Pennsylvania because you have a high concentration of sightings there. And then they fly through the Midwest on a migration pattern into Alaska because that's where you have some of the other sightings. So now you just have to determine in terms of what time of the year you get the sightings, and then it gives yourself a better chance of maybe getting, some kind of result. I would go to Pennsylvania personally for the Thunderbird.
Why Pennsylvania?
I think there's a higher concentration of sightings in that area historically. And so that tells me that's probably as far east as they go. So they must spend more time there than anywhere else, potentially. Now, again, we're dealing with a small pool of data, but if I'm going to have a hypothesis, that would be my hypothesis. And then, we'd go out in Pennsylvania and test that. And again, Thunderbirds are very different than sightings of people that report pterodactyl, pterosaurs type of animals. Those are actually in different locations too, where I've even received a couple of those. And in terms of, you don't get a whole lot in North America, but you do at the kind of like the Texas-Mexican border. And again, that has a historical aspect to it as well. So if we were going to go in that direction, that's where I would go. There's a set of mountains on the other side into Mexico, which I think would be the best place to go for something that at least looks like a pterosaur and a pterodactyl. I'm not saying that's what it is, but so again, it's a pattern.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, again, you just look at the pattern, and then, you go from there.
Are there any cryptid creatures out there on the list that you don't even bother investigating because they're either way too outlandish or way too folklorish, and just do not seem like a proper way to spend time?
Yeah, there's some. I can't think of any right off the bat, but something like, I'm not a big fan of the Jersey Devil. It sounds purely mythological to me. So I would probably not go out there and do that, unless someone paid me to do it. I mean, anything that's a lot more mythological,
Okay, so why do you not believe that creatures like the Jersey Devil are real?
Because it seems to be it has different attributes from a lot of different animals. It looks like a bat. But it also has a face like a horse. So your first thought is like, well, maybe it's a hammerhead bat, right? But those are tropical animals that couldn't survive in New Jersey. And there's so much mythology about, the birth of the devil, through, I forgot the Leeds family, right? The woman that gave birth, and, she gave birth to the Jersey Devil, escaped to the chimney. I mean, it's got so much mythology built around it that if I were to pick one where I wouldn't spend time on, that would be it. I'm not saying there's nothing to it, but, we can't do everything. I'd rather focus on those where there's a little more biology involved and biological possibilities, just because then it's easier to find a pattern and an area to research. I think it gives you a much better chance.
All right. Roy on Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio says Bigfoot looks like the Lex Luger of the forests. Well, it better be the old Lex Luger, because the new Lex Luger or today's Lex Luger is looking pretty frail, man. Pretty frail. All right. In regards to other cryptids, I'm curious your thoughts on things like gnomes, fairies, gargoyles, these creatures that many people out there see as garden variety protectors in the ceramic style, but others are believing that they are still alive.
Yeah, so Okay, so that gets a little complicated. I think there's something to it. Not that gnomes and trolls, whatever, technically exist in the form that we give them, like in fairy tales. But I think there are certain forces out there tied to nature that communicate through archetypes. So when we see them through recognizable archetypes, like I just said, which, from our mythology, our literature and all that. And I think it's not, I don't think it's what they really look like, but I think there's definitely these paranormal modalities out there that definitely takes those forms. And I know I showed you the picture of the ghost girl that I took in Brittany in France. And that was particularly an area where there's a lot of fairies, a lot of lore around fairies in that particular area and nature and, So I think there's something out there, yeah, for sure. But like I said, I think what, we call gnomes and trolls, I think it's just a communication that we just can't quite decipher yet. We just see it and, it's a visual medium for us. But also, if you start talking about fairies and fairy circles way back in the day, it's a whole lot like Tales of Alien Abduction today, the missing time and the whole thing. So, again, it's also our perception through history and how we perceive and describe things through the zeitgeist that we live in.
So with a lot of these cryptids out there, whether they are existent or whether they are just folklore, how do we blend the research with the folklore to see if there is actually any type of truth to these cryptid tales?
We have to translate the folklore into a modern context, into a context that creates a viable avenue of research. And that's not always easy to do. You can't. The thing is, a lot of the folklore comes from indigenous populations, right? And their concepts, they don't always have the same vocabulary for things that we do. And we don't always recognize that. Or they don't have the same cognitive concepts that we do to describe what's living, what's dead, what's a species, what's not. And so we have to make that translation. And once we make that translation, then once it's translated, then we can use that towards formulating a hypothesis about how we're going to conduct our research. But there's a certain amount of translation that has to take place, before that, which I think, people get in trouble a lot where they take everything at face value without taking that into account.
Where does science come into play?
Science is, once that translation is made, science is just a tool. You need a base, right? Like I was saying before with Bigfoot, you still need a scientific base to create your first hypothesis. Where that goes after that, look, science is here to explain to us how the known world works and what we know is real right now. But our job then is to add on to that. It doesn't have to be stationary. Science is just a starting point, and then you can go from there. But you still have to have that starting point. Otherwise, you don't have a solid foundation to go from.
It always makes
that's the way I work.
Well, it always makes me wonder where these stories came from. Was it just somebody with a very, very good imagination? Or was it an actual reality? Because for a lot of folklore, there's a lot of truth behind them as well.
Oh, absolutely. I think some of it, right, is just that inability within that time period to describe natural phenomena they're not familiar with. But I do think it goes a little bit beyond that it definitely describes, paranormal phenomena, for however you want to describe it, and they just describe it in a way that makes sense to them, in that particular time period where, it was fairies then, maybe it's aliens now. So there's definitely a connection among a lot of things that it's just, unfortunately, we just don't have enough information to really have a full theory on what that means. But we're beginning to.
Yeah. What about sea creatures, whether it's mermaids, whether it's sea monsters, lake monsters like Loch Ness, Ogopogo, Champ? There's a lot of these creatures that are out there. Now, I'll be honest with you. I could see something still hiding in the ocean. Okay, the ocean is big enough vast enough. We haven't explored 90% of it. All right. I think there is a very good chance that there is some really strange stuff still lurking in the forests, in the ocean's depths, pardon me. All right. But lake monsters, I don't know. I really don't know. Giant sturgeon, freshwater eels,
right.
The tail falling off my deviously devilish ex-mother-in-law. I don't know. I really don't know.
Okay, so here's the thing from my perspective. I agree with you on the ocean thing. 100% sea monsters exist. Most likely, a lot of them are probably mammals, maybe primitive whales, maybe, long-necked seals, that sort of thing. Maybe even a prehistoric reptile, but I'm more on the mammalian side. So lake monsters have become a little more problematic because you're dealing with such a finite area. Like with Loch Ness, because even though there's been an increase in sightings in the last year or so, you still would assume there would be a lot more sightings than there is. So maybe it's an animal that comes in and out of the loch, or it's a species that lives at the bottom most of the time. I don't know, but there's so many similarities between some of the lake monster descriptions and the sea monster description that you have to assume there's a correlation at some point from a species standpoint. But again, I mean, sure, a lot of those are sturgeons. A lot of them are maybe eels, so they're not all anomalous. But there's enough there, I think, with maybe Champ, Loch Ness, certainly Ogopogo, maybe Manipogo, the Icelandic worm I like a lot, and some of the Scandinavian lake monsters. I find the data pretty interesting, as it is in Siberia. But, yeah, for them to remain undiscovered, it has to make sense, too, from a biological standpoint. The lakes have to be big enough, deep enough, and have enough of a food source. Otherwise it's impossible. I have kind of like a hypothesis that to reduce their numbers, so they're harder to see, obviously, is they have this ability to have parthenogenesis, which is the virgin birth. Komodo dragons, for example, in the reptile family, are able to give birth without a male. Females can fertilize an egg without sperm from a male as a survival mechanism. So, a lot of ocean creatures have a lifespan that can be from like 100 years, right? Some sharks live 500 years, 400 years. So I think if you develop that ability to occasionally, recreate without having a male, you don't need that big of a population to stay hidden. You only need a handful of individuals in a particular lake, especially if you're dealing with an animal that comes in and out of the lake or the loch. You'd be able to survive, for generations without really ever being seen.
See, I live just a few hours from Lake Okanagan, where there's a couple Ogopogo sightings every year. And believe it or not, and there is said to be tunnels connecting that to Skaha Lake. We know the Columbia River runs, it actually starts at Lake Okanagan, then makes its way south through Washington State, all the way down to the Washington-Oregon border, coming out in Portland and Vancouver, Washington, to the ocean. All right, it's a big river. There's big sturgeon in there. The great white sturgeon. Well, not the great white sturgeon, but white sturgeon. A giant white sturgeon, pardon me. And that's what I think Ogopogo is. I really do believe it is a giant white sturgeon. I don't believe that there is some slithering giant eel that's 45, 50 feet long, that seems to, the odd time, have spikes on its back. Not buying that. Really am not. Now, I know in the Fraser River, up until probably the 1950s, they were catching 18, 19, 20, 21-foot sturgeon, which isn't that far off. That's why I tend to believe that, we're looking at giant sturgeon in there, which are known to be prehistoric fish and a member of the shark family, rather than any type of slithering dragon through the water. What's your thoughts?
I think some of it, yeah, but some of it, and I think some of the size is exaggerated. I mean, I find 50 to 60 feet a little much, to stay hidden in the lake. But it's a swimming pattern, too, that up and down pattern, which is very mammalian. It's not, obviously, as you know, fish go, kind of side to side, right? And then there's also, the sightings of like on land, which I'm not sure what to make of, like a Loch Ness. And I know you haven't had those since like the 1930s, but you have had sightings of these animals on land, as you did in some of the other lochs a couple hundred years ago, or even at the turn of the century in Scotland, which probably don't have any more sightings today. Or the Patagonian plesiosaur, as they're called, which is basically a Loch Ness type animal that's been seen in the rivers in Patagonia, Argentina, and they've been seen, resting on rocks and that sort of thing. So now, assuming those obviously are real and not, fake reports or whatever, those are pretty intriguing to me, because that's obviously not a fish. And like I said, it's a swimming pattern that kind of, makes me pause, because it's such an up and down, whale type or seal type of swimming pattern. So, I don't know. I agree that of all the cryptozoological animals, the lake monsters are the most difficult to explain, because, again, it's such a finite area that we should have more sightings. So I think, if someone asks me what's a lake monster, I think there's a lot of different answers, and certainly some of them are going to be sturgeons or, other fish or other known animals. But I'm not sure that's the case for all, though.
We have about...
And in your neck of the woods...
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, so you have caddy in the ocean in your neck of the woods.
Yeah, in Cameron Lake on Vancouver Island. Been there. Fished in that. Waist deep. Before I knew there was a sea monster in there. If I would have known there was a sea monster in there, I'd have never went. But I will say this. If you ever make it to that mid-area where Cameron Lake is, on your way to the west coast of Vancouver Island, literally, once you get past the lake, you are literally about 200 feet from what they call Cathedral Grove. And this is where the trees are all like the redwoods in California, the giant redwoods. It's gorgeous. It's gorgeous. They have one rule or a couple rules. Number one, you're not allowed to smoke in the area, because that could be a little harmful to the tree population. But number two, if there's a windstorm, you're not allowed to stop. But I mean, these trees are so big. I mean, if they hit your car, you're not going to even know.
Yeah.
You're not even going to. It's going to be nice and quick. My friend, I'm going to get you to hold on here as we are going to go to break. At the top of the hour, we have Alex Mistretta for another 30 minutes on Spaced Out Radio. We're going to get into ghosts to take this thing home with Alex before we get to the Thought of the Dave and the SOR Newswire. We'll be back for hour 3 right after this.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
Visit purpleplates.com today. For over 40 years, the Purple Energy Plates have been delivering amazing results for their many customers. Inspired by the great genius Nikola Tesla, the harmony, healing, and energetic effects of the plates have proven over and over to be beneficial and often miraculous to thousands of customers. Check their site for daily specials and choose from their many energy products. You won't be sorry. Visit them today at purpleplates.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
Hello everyone, this is Ryan Stacy from the Experiencer Support Association, otherwise known as TESSA. We're glad to team up with Spaced Out Radio to help investigate your experiences on the SOR Sightlines Report. Together, we'll investigate the strange sightings and occurrences you've had. We're looking for answers just like you. So fill out a Sightlines report on the Spaced Out Radio website and let's figure out what's going on together.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chide and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckard, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Looking for creative ways to get your company out in the public? How about advertising on Spaced Out Radio? Our sales department is waiting to hear from you, and we can work around any budget. From commercial spots to banners to special promotions, there are many opportunities to get your name and product out to our SOR listeners. For a price guide and more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemer. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, Space Travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
We're underway in the third and final hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. I am your host, Dave Scott. I appreciate you all tuning on in. Hi to everyone listening in on KZFX 93.7 FM in Ridgecrest, California. UPRN 107.7 FM in New Orleans. WQEE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia. KDUN AM 1030 in Reedsport, Oregon. And KDNF AM 1560 in Dangerfield, Texas. On the digital side, we're proud to broadcast on Kingdom of Nye Radio and Revolution Radio. Thank you for joining us. Remember, you can check out all of our archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Balneology. Balneology is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We got a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, grab a great book from We Read the Night. You can also join the Space Travelers for $5 a month, and Captain Shirk has you all up to date on the SOR Newswire. For the final time tonight, we introduce Los Angeles, California researcher, investigator, Alex Mistretta, and we're going to get into ghosts with him now, because, Alex, you have a couple of ghost pictures that absolutely freak me out. Now, it's tough to see photos on the radio, but you know, we'll try and get them on our Twitter pages and Facebook here for the audience. But I'm curious, for you, why do you believe that ghosts are potentially real?
Because I've seen a couple personally, and I photographed a couple, and I felt a couple, and, you know, and again, when we see ghosts, we mean it covers a lot of territory. You know, I think there's a lot of modalities that we place under the ghost category. But, you know, I believe it because I've been there.
What creates something in a haunting?
I think there's different mechanisms involved. So obviously there's, the most common, right, where there's some kind of interaction with an entity that presumably was somebody that, once upon a time was alive. Or so that's kind of your typical ghost. I believe there's a certain situation where we're just dealing with strictly recording, an environmental recording of a past event that somehow gets replayed when the conditions are right. And then there's a third, which is what I've probably worked the most on the last 20 years or so, is poltergeist, which I believe are completely self-generated phenomena where a certain individual has the ability to, through interaction with the environment, to create phenomena. So there's no actual entity behind it. It's all kind of self-generated. And it's, in some ways, it's your subconscious that acts out in a physical manner.
So you believe that poltergeists are some sort of tulpa that we create with our own mind?
Yeah, I do. I believe it. I mean, certain people have that ability, but I think the environmental conditions have to be right for it to be generated, and then it kind of takes a life of its own. I think it's almost like a physical representation of your id, and so I think, and then it escalates. There's literally, it kind of functions like a virus, I think, where there's an onset and it intensifies and eventually it diminishes in time. But you can also catch it, because I've been in cases where I've investigated poltergeist phenomena and I've taken it home with me for like a brief period of time,
So how would a person be able to create this or manifest this?
Well, we don't know. That's the thing, you know. It just seems that because it seems to follow somebody around, and it interacts very differently with different people in that the afflicted individual's surroundings. And I've noticed it becomes more violent towards people that person has a problem with, doesn't like, or reminds them of somebody in their life that they had issues with. So it functions and behaves differently with different people. And again, it's not, once that person leaves that location, you might have some residue effect in that location, but the strongest amount of phenomena seems to follow a particular individual from place to place. And as you notice, it's like there's a lot of stories, right, with poltergeist. It's different from ghost hauntings, where ghost hauntings typically, you know, there's a lot more visuals. There's you'll see apparitions, but it'll really slap you across the face or throw things around the room or turn on your stoves. That seems to be most associated with a poltergeist phenomena. So I think we're dealing with two very different things.
With ghosts, why do you think they come around?
I have no idea. I know there's a lot of theories on there, but we have, if you think about it, we have no real data to back that off. We assume it's because they're attracted to certain places, you know, they were in life. But, you know, there's also a possibility that what if there's a difference between the soul and a ghost, right? So let's say when you die, wherever you go somewhere, something happens to you, you go another realm, whatever people believe in. But what if there's a part of you that stays behind? So it's not really you, but it's a general representation of you. It's what people think of you. It's how, and people kind of feed it through their belief system and their remembrance of you, which is perhaps why we have so many ghosts, for example, of Marilyn Monroe or famous personalities. There seems to be ghosts of famous people everywhere, right? Different locations all the time. So maybe it's how we, even that on some level, we kind of create it because we keep feeding it. So, and as he gets fed and he gets fed and he gets fed some more, it starts functioning as an intelligence where maybe originally it wasn't. It's just kind of like you know, a representation of who you were. And that's the sort of thing I think about at night.
Do you believe that apparitions can manifest themselves into a physical being?
In terms of, you mean a physical being you can touch and feel? You mean?
Well, you photographed a couple of them that look pretty physical and real.
Yeah, I do, because obviously I photographed a couple. I mean, one of them, you know, like the famous girl in the forest that I photographed, there was nothing there when I took the photo, though. I didn't see anything. So it's just somebody that appeared on the photograph. What that means, I don't fully know, obviously. So, I mean, I use the term ghost only because there's no better term for it. But it's not like it was surrounding, you know, it's not like I saw an apparition and took a photograph of it. It just happened I took a photograph of an area that was known for paranormal, you know, phenomena, and I just happened to catch a person that wasn't there when I took the photograph.
Describe that photo for our audience.
Okay, so I'll just give you a quick background. So I was in an area that was rich in paranormal lore, and it was tied into a lot of Arthurian legend in Brittany, in France. And it was, so when you come around on this trail, there's a lake called the Lake of the Fairies, and you go around on this trail. There's one trail in and out. It's woods on both sides. And I was there with my stepdad and my mom at the time. And I was doing research for my book. I wanted to write a chapter on the Holy Grail, which I ended up not doing, but because there's a lot of Holy Grail lore in that area as well. And my mom started as a semi-psychic, and she starts feeling things, and she gets like letters in her arms and that sort of thing. And she started doing that as we approached this one little area, and that's when, you know, light kind of clicked on. I go, we got to take a lot of pictures everywhere all the time. So back then it was 35 millimeters. So here we are on this little trail, like I said, one way in, one way out. There's a lake. We're facing towards the lake, so there's a little bit of hill. There's a river that comes down to the right. So there's literally nowhere for me to come in and out. We were there for 20 minutes. we took pictures for all 20 minutes. We would have seen someone coming in and out. And when I investigate, even like haunted locations, this is what I do. I just take picture after picture, like all the time, right? And, we didn't see or feel anything aside from, my mom seeing kind of those letters kind of raised up on her arms. And, I kept going and left. I mean, think about it. It wasn't until the, picture was developed much later that we noticed the girl. And so this is weird. It looks just like a person in a coat, like a winter coat. She's got red hair, and it's complete 3-dimension. You can't see through it. It's not an apparition. It literally looks like a bona fide person that was just standing there in the forest, staring right at us. Except that for 20 minutes, all three of us didn't see anybody there, or didn't even encounter anybody on the trail.
How did you feel after you caught that photo?
Yeah, I was pretty stoked. I was like, this is cool. It's just, it's not the sort of thing that freaks me out, so I was just, I was like, hey, this is really cool. It's just, but, I mean, obviously I get the historical perspective where you don't have too many pictures like that in the field, but I also knew from an evidence standpoint that it's going to be hard to get people to believe that it's not just somebody that I set to stand there and I took a photograph of it and then, went around town claiming that I took a picture of a ghost. So there's that, and I get it.
Did you ever have any hesitation about releasing that photo publicly, considering the potential harassment that you would get from the community?
No, I mean, I've always been a jump first and ask questions later type of guy, unfortunately, which is great, which is a lot of fun when I ski, but it's why I don't go to Vegas. So I'm like, you know what? Hell with it. I mean, I've never been shy about showing my evidence, and telling people what I think about it. And look, I think one thing, if people look at my background, look at my history in this field, I've always been you can say whatever you want about me, but not being honest is not one of them. People know that if I stand by something, it's because I really, really believe in it. And I'm not one to obviously come up with crazy stories. So that said, that didn't go as far as I thought it would. And yeah, I did, I took a lot of shit for it, but hey, that's kind of part of the deal. And sure, if you come at me, I'm going to respond really badly. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm not good at not responding, but yeah, I mean, obviously I knew that was going to be a problem, and no. And to be honest, I know it was going to annoy some people, and just that alone makes me want to release it.
See, I have struggled at times to release info because of the fact that I'm always in my position concerned that someone thinks I'm going to do it for ratings, or someone is going to try and spike what we've learned, and so on and so forth. And, my situation's a little bit different than yours. I have taken a lot of heat for a potential fairy video that my daughter caught, and I won't release it because I'm not good with computers. Okay. I don't know how to, I've never used Photoshop. I've never even shopped at Amazon. That's how bad I am with computers. All right. And anybody who knows me gets a good laugh over that because they know how true it is. And I've got this video of a potential fairy with my daughter. And I don't know how to block her face. I don't know how to do all that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give the video to anybody to do that, because how do you trust in this circumstance? And long story short, I won't release it. I've sent it to a few people, or like 2 people that I trust. And, it doesn't matter how much your word is good. People out there want to tear it down. They're like, show us, you're part of the problem. You're part of the issue when you don't show that video. We need to see that. Well, no, you don't. No, you don't, because I'm not putting my daughter on the line for this, for people's arrogance or whatever you want to call it, and there's probably a multitude of video evidence out there that many people aren't releasing, or photographs, for that instance, that many people aren't releasing because they are afraid. They're afraid of getting ridiculed. They're afraid of getting attacked. They've seen what's happened in this community, and they just don't feel comfortable in doing that. So, in one sense, I commend you for having the decency and the intestinal fortitude to do that, but I wouldn't blame you if you didn't.
Well, the thing is, being a researcher, obviously I kind of have to, otherwise, what am I doing, but it does kind of bring up a, bigger problem. We're always complaining about crappy evidence, right? Blurry. Why is it always blurry? Why, is it pixelated? Why is it, this picture is so bad, the film is so bad? But as soon as someone has an incredible piece of evidence, not proof, evidence is a difference. And people reject it if it's too good. And I get it. In some ways, this picture is too good, right? Because it's so clear. So it's like we can't, it's like that's the problem in this field. It's like we have a lot of crappy evidence that's really, boring. But as soon as we have something that's amazing, people reject it. So it's like, what do you do?
So with that in mind, what is tangible evidence?
I mean, I guess there's different types of evidence depending on the phenomenon. Obviously, with ghosts, where you don't have something physical you can measure. I mean, you have to go with pictures and videos as evidence. But again, it's not proof, because proof you have to be able to replicate it, and you have to be able to go from A to B to know exactly how do you get that proof and what it is and all that. So, like, I consider my picture evidence because it's great. I think it's a great picture, and as you've heard me, I like to call it the greatest picture in paranormal history because it annoys the right people, which is why I like calling it that, if I'm going to be honest. But I wouldn't say it's proof because I can't prove what it is. I can't prove, I don't know who the girl is and what it represents.
Now, when you were in Europe and you took that photo, did you at any time take it around to see if anybody knew who she was?
No, because by then we were gone from the area. I was back in Paris already, and eventually find my way back here. So I was already gone from Brittany, so I never had a chance to go back.
Well, that's too bad.
But it's what's interesting, and again, this is purely circumstantial and just, my speculation or my musing, but, the whole place has a long link to Arthurian mythology, and, a lot of stories that Merlin actually died in the area and all that, all this lore. And and if you look at a lot of the paintings, medieval paintings or whatever, of like the Lady of the Lake, she's always kind of pictured kind of looking like my picture with the long red hair and all that, I always found that correlation kind of interesting from that standpoint. So it kind of feeds into that, kind of local lore, local mythology in that sense, except that it looks completely modern because it's wearing modern clothes. So again, I'm just, that's just kind of speculative thoughts. Whether there's a correlation with that, I have no idea. But
we should do a little test. We should, excuse me. We should put your photo up against the barn photo that I sent you.
Yeah.
Just for fun. Just to see what people say.
Yeah, we'll both get insulted. It'll be cool.
It'll be fantastic. It'll be fantastic.
Listen, I won't get insulted alone.
Oh, hey, I'll join you on that. I'll join you. We'll do it together.
All
Let's
right.
get insulted. Let's get insulted by the paranormal community together. That's not evidence. I only know what is. Anyways, we've got about 3 minutes left with you tonight. This is a show that is flown on by, and I want to say a big thank you to you for coming on in to Spaced Out Radio tonight and hanging out with us and sharing a lot of your detailed information that you have. What's next on your adventure list?
Not sure. Looking at a few different options. All going to depend on funding and all that. But I'm going to film my own little mini show for my YouTube channel. That's kind of what I'm working on right now. So that'll be up in February. It's called 10 Minutes with an International Man of Mystery. And it's basically just, 10 minutes of questions of things that I really want to get across, things that I really want to talk about that then hopefully will, launch into more investigations type of deal. So that's the only thing on the agenda immediately.
That's very cool. Where'd you get that idea from?
My goddaughter, she was making little mini movies of her little brother, 3-year-old brother, and I'm like, you know what, I can do that. But, and I wanted to, with the paranormal and cryptozoology, and there's so many subjects I want to talk about, I never get a chance to,
Yeah.
So I figured and things, but I also wanted, so I'm making up, the questions myself, and I'm giving it to someone that's going to interview me. But I also wanted to ask me questions that makes me uncomfortable, that I don't want to answer. So it's going to be, I want it to be really honest and real kind of, like, no editing, nothing, just 10 minutes of me in the hot seat, saying what I really think and coming up with theories that I haven't really revealed before or cases I haven't revealed yet, ever. So,
it's
and I figure people's attention span are kind of short, these days. So I figured 10 minutes to 15 minutes, whatever, how long it takes, should get enough attention, And then someone can come up to me and offer me a lot of money to go everywhere I want to go. That's the plan.
Well, hopefully that would be that would be kind of fantastic. Where can people find your work and your YouTube channel?
YouTube channel's under Alex Mistretta, International Man of Mystery. There's really nothing there yet. Videos will be up by February. Otherwise, Twitter, Facebook. That's pretty much it for now. I don't have a website or anything right now, so.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here tonight, my friend. You got to make sure that
again. I really appreciate.
Yeah, you got to make sure you keep up the good. You got to make sure you keep up the good work, because we need more people like you out in that field who are doing it for the right reasons and not the selfish reasons that we see so much about here, man.
Yeah, I'm not going anywhere. I'm too stubborn.
I know that feeling. Don't ask me why, but I know that feeling. Well, your time is appreciative, and keep up the awesome work, man, because like I said, we need more investigators like you out there who are open to ideas, to reasoning, and we don't get a lot of that in this field these days. So it's a breath of fresh air when we do, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
All right. You hold on here. I'm going to take this thing into commercial break. Coming up after the break, we're going to get to the SOR News Wire. We're going to get to the Thought of the Dave. Lots more coming up on Spaced Out Radio right after this, so don't go anywhere.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
You wanted new SOR gear, and now you can have it. The SOR Vault is fully stocked with t-shirts, hats, hoodies, mugs, and everything in between, with great logos for you to choose from. So head on over to spacedoutradio.com, click on the SOR Vault, and go shopping. Pricing is quite affordable, and you can look good representing your favorite show. So go to our website and pick up your new SOR wear at the SOR Vault today.
At spacedoutradio.com, we are keeping you up to date on all the news with the SOR News Wire. Captain Shirk leads the team that is bringing you the news of the day and exclusive stories on everything paranormal and supernatural. It's free to read, it's updated daily, and it's right there for you. The SOR News Wire is a one-stop shop for the news of the day. Check it out at spacedoutradio.com today.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. And while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hey, Spaced Out Radio fans! It's John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. Our goal is to make the life of veterans, first responders, and those with rare medical conditions 10% happier. We do this by donating one grant item, ranging from dance to therapy programs to prosthetic limbs, to those who need it most. To contribute to Spaced Out Radio's official charity, head over to chivecharities.org and become a donor today.
Are you looking for great advertising value for your company? Look no further than Spaced Out Radio. We have a multitude of places to get your name out there, including commercial ads during the show, special promotions, and banners on our website. Our audience is proven to support the companies that support our show. We can make your budget work for you. So for more information, please contact us at sales@spacedoutradio.com.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at mightymoosebeard.com today.
If you like it hot, real hot, then heat up your meals with Bumblefoot hot sauce.
Get your Bumblefoot hot sauce today. The sauce, Bumblicious, and the 4 million Scoville unit Bumble. We're going in hot, real hot, coming out even hotter.
Keep the milk nearby and tantalize your taste buds tonight.
Bumblefoot hot sauce, available now at kajans.com.
Hey everybody, the SOR Space Travelers is open. For just $5 a month, you can hang out with Dave and our crew privately in our members-only section. With your signing, you'll receive newsletters on what's going on with Spaced Out Radio. You'll have direct contact with the host during the show in our chat, live streaming videos, and a great forum for your posts and more. Become a space traveler now at spacedoutradio.com.
Move over, brother, and let me own Saturday night.
This is Rich Giordano, and I'm inviting you to tune on in to Spaced Out Saturdays starting at 9 p.m. Pacific, 12 a.m. Eastern, where I'm going to bust open the lids on everything paranormal. Why? Because we want answers, and I'm the guy who's going to deliver those answers to you. Join the chat rooms, and we'll see you this Saturday. Just be there. No, really.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Cold drinks, great food, and the best music in Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is the place to be, open until 2 a.m. nightly. Everything on the menu starts at just $6.95. Who serves food that cheap anymore? At the Moose, you'll never know who you'll run into. Rock stars, actors, athletes. It's the place everyone wants to be. So join us at the Moose Vancouver, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
A little bit of science, a little bit of skepticism. Add a dash of snark and you have the makings of Spaced Out Sundays with me, Everett Thiemann. Together we will look into the reality of the paranormal with an open eye and rational thought. Oh, did I mention there'll be plenty of woo as well? Your time spent with Spaced Out Sundays will make the night even better. The chat rooms are open, 9:06 p.m. Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern, right here at spacedoutradio.com.
Rounded third, we're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it. Want to remind all of you that if you've missed most of this show or others, you can check out our free archives at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, do a little shopping at the SOR Vault, read up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire, because it's updated daily, and join the Space Travelers Club for $5 a month. How can you miss out on that? Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire, the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and the sometimes filthy. Malaysia has sent back 150 containers of plastic waste to 13 mainly rich companies since the third quarter last year, with the environment minister warning on Monday that those who want to make the country a rubbish bin of the world, well, they could dream on. Shipments of unwanted garbage have been rerouted to Southeast Asia since China banned the import of plastic waste in 2018. But Malaysia and other developing countries are fighting back. Environment Minister Yao B. Yin says another 110 containers are expected to be sent back by the middle of the year. Yao said the successful repatriation of the total 3,737 metric tons of waste followed strict enforcement at key Malaysian ports to block smuggling of waste and shuttering of more than 200 illegal plastic recycling factories. Of the 150 containers, 43 were returned to France, 42 to the United Kingdom, 17 to the United States, and 11 to Canada. She said that the Malaysian government didn't pay a single cent, with the costs of sending back the waste fully borne by the shipping liners and companies responsible for importing and exporting the waste. Yao says talks were ongoing with U.S. authorities to take back another 60 containers this year. Canada also has another 15 more over there. If people want to see us as the rubbish dump of the world, you dream on, Yao told reporters during inspection at a port in northern Penang State. Yao said the government will launch an action plan on illegal plastic importation next month that will help the different agencies coordinate environment and speed up the process of returning the waste. Our position is very firm, she says. We just want to send back the waste, and we just want to give a message that Malaysia is not the dumping site of the world. Oh, isn't that nice? Keeping their place clean. Scary incident here. A Virgin Australia flight was diverted back to Brisbane after a large chunk of the wings of the left wing of the aircraft was discovered to be peeling away shortly after takeoff. As we were starting to get some altitude, I looked onto the wing, and it looked like there was something caught in it. It looked as though there was a bit of cardboard. Passenger Bill Mogger says, yeah, he was aboard Melbourne-bound flight VA346, was seated next to the wing, and attempted to alert a cabin crew member when he noticed the issue. I thought it was a bit weird, but then I took a bit of a closer look, and it was actually part of the wing peeling away. It was quite a large chunk of wing flapping in the breeze. Mogger claimed he wasn't able to immediately get attention of flight staff due to passengers being required to remain in their seats with the seatbelt during takeoff, but he was reported to have flagged a flight attendant as soon as the seatbelt sign had been switched off. I was waving to get their attention. She said, yes, we've seen it. The captain is dealing with it. She shut the conversation right down, Mogger said. Passengers were then informed via an in-flight announcement that the plane was heading back to Brisbane due to technical difficulties Well, yeah, the wing falling off is technical difficulties. The outer skin of the left wing was reported to have partially separated from the lower flap of the wing while the aircraft was midair, according to some reports. The plane was reported to have been redirected to Brisbane Airport due to an engineering issue and not a safety issue. A Virgin Australia spokesperson said, "This was not a safety issue." No, losing a wing is never a safety issue, is it, Virgin? Yes. However, the captain made the decision to conduct an air return so the aircraft could be inspected by our engineers as a precautionary measure. The aircraft is currently being inspected by our engineers and is expected to return to service on Tuesday, January 21st. Yeah, upon arrival at Brisbane Airport, passengers were reported to have been transferred to another Melbourne-bound flight just minutes after disembarking the plane, which is always good news. Last week, a United Airlines flight heading to Los Angeles was forced to make an emergency landing in New Jersey after flames were reported spewing out of the engine on the right wing of the plane. Yeah, the engine, it shot like 10 times, witnesses say. I got about 6 of them on video with flames, and it sounded like gunshots, and everyone was just kind of freaked out, says Gabrielle Guzzi. She was on the flight. Another passenger, Nicole Adamo, said the incident was the most terrifying experience of her life, and she reported several people were screaming, because, you know, screaming always helps a situation. A dentist in Anchorage, Alaska, has been convicted of dozens on charges after he was filmed extracting a patient's tooth as he stood on a hoverboard. Seth Lookhart was convicted on 46 felony and misdemeanor counts in Anchorage Superior Court Friday by Judge Michael Wolverton, who called the evidence presented by the state during a 5-week bench trial overwhelming. A lawsuit filed by the state in 2017 charged Lookhart with unlawful dental acts, saying his patient's care did not meet professional standards. Lookhart, the lawsuit said, performed a dental extraction procedure on a sedated patient while riding a hoverboard, filmed the procedure, and then sent it to several people. In at least one conversation, Lookhart joked that performing oral surgery on a hoverboard was a new standard of care. The lawsuit, citing phone records, Lookhart was also charged with medical assistance fraud for billing Medicaid for procedures that were either unnecessary or not properly justified, and theft of $25,000 or more by diverting funds from Alaska Dental Arts, among dozens of others. The evidence indicated Lookhart believed that he could get away with his fraud indefinitely and that he believed his scheme was foolproof, Judge Wolverton said. According to the Department of Law's news release, the evidence was often supported and often in excruciating detail by Lookhart's own texts, photos, and videos. An attorney for Lookhart, who had pleaded not guilty on all counts, declined to comment Sunday. He is expected to be sentenced on April 30th. Weird. Like, who does that? Like, how do you think that riding a hoverboard while having a dental extraction is a good idea? How does that even happen? How is that possible? I don't get that. Like, talk about cockiness and ego. Wow. Wow, that's just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, let's move back here. And let's get into it. So, for all you cat lovers out there, you're going to love this story. All right? There's this beautiful little cat sitting in a humane society, and it's got no ears. Nope. It's like a gray and black calico. So, what a real kind citizen did, who volunteers at the Dane County Humane Society, was she knitted a new set of ears for the cat. They're purple. I think this is so cool. I really do. I really do think this is just an amazing, amazing type of story here because, you know, this is happening in Wisconsin. And now her ears were removed, the cat's ears, due to chronic and painful infections. So this lady who volunteers, okay, she decided, Marissa DeGroot is her name, she decided to knit some new ears for the kitty and the cat seems to like him. So this surgery apparently happened in December and immediately began treatment for chronic ear infections and hematomas. To alleviate her suffering, veterinarians eventually decided to remove Lady's outer ear flaps, which left her looking a little funny. So, sorry, it was Ash Collins, who works at the Humane Society, crocheted the new ear bonnet. With some coaxing, more than a few treats, Lady fit right into her new purple ears. It's amazing because we see these strays and medical cases come in, and I think we're always surprised by the animal's resiliency. The sweet girl, known at the shelter for her love of cuddles and head bumps, was adopted Tuesday, just hours after the Humane Society, which serves the Madison area, posted photos of Facebook of Lady in her new ears. Staff and volunteers at Dane County consistently go above and beyond for the animals in our care. And Miss Collins says, I was more than happy to use my crochet skills to help Lady stand out and get the second chance she deserved. I am so honored to be a small part of her happy ending. That's a great story. Great story. Good choice, Captain Shirk. You know, I have never seen a dog that looks like Chad Kroeger from Nickelback. But this husky, honestly, look at this photograph. Every time I do, it makes me laugh. Yeah, I went there. I totally went there. A dog deemed once too weird looking to find a new home has now done that, thanks to the power of the internet. Jubilee, a 4-year-old husky who looks like Chad Kroeger, was first dropped off at the Husky House in Matawan, New Jersey, a few years ago, after a breeder apparently felt they just couldn't sell her. Why? Jubilee suffers from a congenital eyelid issue, has since lived at the New Jersey shelter, but last Tuesday, after the Husky House shared a post about Jubilee, she became something of a viral celebrity, and she has been adopted by a loving family. About time. This is a gorgeous dog. Thanks to everyone who shared Jubilee's story, she has found her forever home with previous Husky House adopters and joins her new fur siblings in her wonderful new life, wrote Husky House in an update on the original Facebook post that shared about Jubilee's funny-looking eyes. Fans also began sending in their Jubilee-inspired artwork and drawings as a show of support for Team Jubilee, a group which soon begat its own charitable T-shirts, which are currently being sold to raise money for other adoptables. Husky House says Jubilee's new owners would like to remain anonymous for the time being, but added that they've set up Jubilee with their own Facebook page where fans can go for updates. She is such a wonderful pup, Husky House wrote of Jubilee in a statement. Why do we have to have pets having their own Facebook pages with updates? Okay, like I'm all for pets, okay? I love pets. I have 2 dogs of my own. I don't know. I may get more. We got a fish. We got a cat. All right. I got a little rock star in the making. But why do we all of a sudden, like if you get this viral, sensation like Jubilee, why do we feel the need that we have to give the public updates? Why? I don't get it. Just take the dog home and enjoy the fact that you got a beautiful animal. Loyal as can be. My opinion. A man was tased and arrested after cursing at deputies while stark naked in Inglewood, Florida. Really? It's always Florida. Always Florida. Charlotte County deputies received several calls and online tips on Saturday about a man screaming at the top of his lungs in his underwear and waking the neighbors. They found Carlos Suarez standing in the driveway and screaming profanities as they approached. Suarez kept darting into his home and back out to yell at the deputies. Finally, he walked outside slinging his genitals, according to the Charlotte County Police Office. Deputies told him that he was under arrest, and he once again tried to run inside. Suarez was then tased and then taken down for exposing himself, breaching the peace, and resisting law enforcement officers without violence. So in other words, what they're saying is, don't shake your thing in front of the police because they just don't like it. Who thinks of that? Like, at any point, how intoxicated or stoned do you have to be to think that that's a good idea? I mean, really, How do you do that? How do you do that? I don't get it. I don't get it at all. Thought of the Dave happens every night at this time, where we ask a question on our Facebook and Twitter pages, then read your responses on the air, because we love the audience participation around here. Today's Thought of the Dave is as follows. Hey, ghost hunters, describe the best piece of evidence you've ever caught on an investigation. But before we get to that, I think this one's important. Got to read this. For all of our American friends, we hope you had a great long weekend with Martin Luther King Day today. What an amazing man. You know, being up here in Canada, where I broadcast live nightly from the small hamlet, 100 Mile House, British Columbia. Don't know much about Martin Luther King except that basically what he stood for in civil rights, right? He was just 39 years old when he was assassinated in 1968. But the dream lives on. The dream lives on. So make sure you treat your brothers and sisters and everybody out there as you'd want to be treated, because this holiday has a lot of meaning to every American, and I think every human being out there. Let's just be civil to each other. Just be civil to each other. All right, let's get to the thought of the day. Hey, ghost hunters, describe the best piece of evidence you've ever caught on investigation. Here we go. Cody. The best piece of evidence was a thermal picture showing a full-bodied apparition. Luckily, I had a camera pointed down the same hallway, and there was nothing that could have produced or reflected that image. Edith. We were doing an investigation at the Rhodes Hotel before the remodel and change to a money-making sideshow, and with a long history of the home being a saloon and brothel, we were excited. We recorded what we could only consider an imprint sound, a rifle shot. Additionally, I was in the rooms that used to house the ladies and was speaking to the gentleman who cared for them, asking for him to interview me for a working position. Though my session, I told him I'd treat the men as they should be treated. At the end, I said, I suppose David doesn't want to play. At the end of the recording, we found the response from a male. Let's play. In the same house, there was an area where children of these ladies were kept. We sat in a circle and had the children turn flashlights off and on, but the exciting experience came when one of our junior investigators asked, "Can you say your ABCs and 1, 2, 3s?" And an hour later, we learned all of our phones froze at 1:23 a.m. I went to the kitchen for water and saw the time on the clock was 2:45 a.m. Finally, as we all sat around the table, playing cards to try and trigger an entity allegedly stuck there after being shot with a rifle after cheating at cards, suddenly we felt the cool air, and something pushed itself between myself and another investigator. You could see us both clearly on video being shoved. Jim, I caught a photo of 2 spirits in one pic. Robin, does physical count? I asked how many spirits there were in the fan room. I got 4 bangs on the fan duct above me. I did get an MVP of a child's named Evie. Robert, in 1976, I studied filmmaking at Penn State prior to being accepted into the university's doctoral program. Back then, I was an artist by nature. I had picked music as my medium of expression. However, out of necessity, I eventually morphed into a scientist. During my life, I have participated in many ghost hunts, but I am not a ghost hunter per se. In essence, I'm an aggressive researcher. On October 29th, 2016, I participated in an investigation at an old asylum in Winchester, Indiana. During that investigation, I piloted a film technique that I had been experimenting with for several months. During the wee small hours of the morning of October 30th, 2016, I recorded 3 unexplained images in 3 distinct areas of the asylum. I didn't realize I had captured the strange images until after my roll of black and white 35mm film had been developed. Awesome. Thank you so much for everybody on Twitter and Facebook taking part in today's Thought of the Dave. We will do it all again tomorrow. Make sure you check it on out because I want to read your responses on the air, so make sure you check them on out. Also, big thank you to Captain Shirk for putting together the SOR Newswire tonight. You can find all of our news at spacedoutradio.com, so make sure you check it on out. I really would appreciate that. And, of course, a big thank you to Alex Mistretta for coming on in, talking a little bit of UFOs, talking some cryptids, talking some ghosts. It's always a fun night when we get into the woo, isn't it? Yeah, I love it, too. That's why we continue to do this each and every night. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. To everybody in our chat rooms on LGAB, Revolution Radio, Spreaker, Facebook, the SOR Space Travelers Club on our website, and hashtag Spaced Out Radio on Twitter. Please remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Yeah, we don't want you copying this thing. I want to say thank you to everybody tuning us in, kicking off your week with us, because together, my friends, say it with me. Don't make a mistake. We're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Have a great night, everybody. Tomorrow night, near-death studies with Dr. Claude Swanson. So make sure you check us on out. 9:06 Pacific, 12:06 a.m. Eastern at spacedoutradio.com. Good night.